Hello, my name is Razvan Preotu. I'm a Grandmaster from Canada, and my major is computer science. I chose to do my game against Bator Sambuev at the Calgary International. This was round 6, and Bator was leading with 4.5 out of 5, and then I had 4 out of 5. So if I won this game, I would be leading the tournament. So this took place in the summer, in August. Last year, I won the tournament, so I was the defending champion. And Gil Popilski also played in that tournament. He finished like 3rd.
How did you play against him?
Oh, I won that game.
What matters is that I beat Kamsky in half an hour.
Oh yeah, that's true. All right, so it was a French. I chose to play the 92 variation, so it went to a Tarrasch line. Knight f6. I think knight c6 is more popular. So normally I play e5, but against Bator never really played the French against me, so I thought he prepared that line, so I just played something else. Bishop b5. So here, the main line, I think, is to just take on d7, castle, take on c5. But these positions are typically like very solid for black, and white doesn't really have any advantage. Like, despite the isolated pawn, black's pieces are very active. So, and I just played queen e2 check to like mix up the game, but even here black should be fine. Bishop b7, take, knight b3, so I'm trying to keep my c5 pawn. Rook e8, bishop b3, a6. So black also has the option to take on c5 because there's tactics with queen a5 check, but I can just castle long, and then it's interesting position because black still has the isolated d-pawn weakness, so maybe white can have some advantage here. So instead he played a6. So I don't really want to take on d7 because that just develops his knight, so I should go back. And now black has to win back the c5 pawn. So black plays bishop a4, which is like looks very strange. I've never seen like the bishop go to a4 to try to take a knight on b3, but in this case it's good. So I also want to stop. So if he's allowed to take on b3, then take on c5, he can damage my pawn structure because of the pin on the e-file. So I want to place a knight on d4 now. I chose to play with the b knight. Knight f to d4 is also possible, but black can just win the c5 pawn. And I wasn't sure of the variations castling along here, because it looks like black can get a lot of counterplay against my own king and on the e-file. So I played the other knight. Also, I can potentially kick the bishop back with b3. So he took on c5. Knight g4 isn't very good here, because he can win the bishop pair, but then after, my queen has a good square on f4, and now I control the d4 square very well, and the bishop on a4 is now like very misplaced, so white has a good advantage here. So he took on c5, castle. Now, knight g4 is also not very good, because after knight g5, I'm attacking h7 and the knight on f6, so he has to go back to f6, which doesn't really accomplish anything. And also here, I might have ideas of knight e6 to win the bishop pair. So you just play knight c6, c3, and here I think he made a sort of strange decision. He took on d4. I think if he just went queen b6, pressuring the knight, he would have equalized like comfortably. I don't have much except b3, but now he can play bishop b5. And even I win the pawn on b5, but he wins the pawn in e3. So this is just one possible line. And then, yeah, should be pretty equal. But instead, he took on d4, trying to get rid of his isolated pawn. But now I have the bishop pair advantage, which it's not much, but it's still something to play for, especially with like symmetrical pawn structure. The bishop pair is really good. So here, what would you do as black to try to get rid of the bishop pair for white?
Queen d7 and bishop b5.
That's what he did, but that runs into a tempo loss. So in the game he went queen d7, but I think queen b6 is better because now I can't really stop bishop b5, and he's able to trade the bishop pair, even though it allows me to double his b pawns. Doesn't really mean much because my bishop's like not very good dark square bishop. In the game he went queen d7, so trying the same idea, but after queen f3, now if bishop b5, I have bishop f5 gaining a tempo, and then I can just move my rook, so I keep the bishop pair advantage. So knight e4. So I'm basically just trying to consolidate and then push him back with my bishop pair, so I don't want to trade. So I'm queen f4 with the idea of playing f3, attacking the knight. Now here, it was more precise to first play a4, kicking the bishop back, and then f3. Instead, I went f3 right away. Then can anyone find why this is imprecise?
g5.
Yes, that's the idea, but I have queen f5. So first, black should play
f6.
rook f6.
Knight g3.
I don't think that works. First, black should play rook c6, attacking the bishop. And now bishop b3, g5, and my queen has no squares to go except g4. But black should just be fine, because now I can't kick away the knight on e4. So that's why it was important to first play a4 to kick the bishop to c6. But he missed that too. He just went knight d6. And now here I made a strange mistake. It was better to put the bishop to f2 to just trade the rooks and then just play with the bishop pair. Instead, I played bishop d2, which just allows knight c4, gaining like counterplay and attacking my pawns. But I wanted the bishop to go to b4 potentially, but yeah, it just allows knight c4. But he didn't do that. He went bishop e2. He can also take on e1 and then knight c4, and black's equal.
Razvan, why do you take with the rook on e1? Logically, since you have the pair of bishops, you should keep one rook and try to maybe swap the queens.
But then that might allow his rook to go on the second rank here. That
Oh,
could
this
be.
I didn't see.
Sorry? Oh, okay. Yeah, it would be good to keep the rooks, but black's rooks are more active, so.
That's why I'm less than 25.
So he went bishop e2 to try to avoid the trade of rooks, but that doesn't really matter for me. I can just activate my rook on the c file. So bishop b4, g6, rook c1, knight c4, b3. Here, black's position is already very bad because I'm just slowly kicking him back. Bishop b1, so threatening rook c7, queen b5, rook c7 attacking f7, knight d7, queen d2. So now I have ideas of a4, bishop a5, trying to win the b7 pawn after maybe bishop c2 to defend the b3 pawn. Knight f6. So I played a4 right away to kick back the queen, but bishop c2 first would have been better, just to make sure b3 is protected. And after queen b6, bishop a5, queen a7, I have the tactic bishop f5 because I have rook e2. Since he can't take, there's queen g5 check, and white has a big advantage here. So in the game, I first kicked the queen, but now I can't play bishop a5 because b3 is hanging, so I have to move my other rook to defend it. But this allows black a very nice tactical shot. Can anyone see it?
Bishop d1.
Yes.
We saw it.
Oh, because my queen and rook are overloaded. Like my queen has to defend the bishop, my rook has to defend the rook on c7. So now black's able to get counterplay with rook e1. And the best white can do is to try to trade the rooks. And I'm able to win the queen, but black gets a piece, rook and piece for it. And it's just in time to get out of the, defend the rook and get out of the pin. So should be equal here. But instead he went king g7. And now I'm able to finally push away black's pieces away. So a5, queen a7, queen f4, bishop b5, and h4. So I'm trying to provoke weaknesses on the king side now. Bishop d7. And now, does anyone recommend a way for white to continue?
King h2.
Okay. That's a slow move, but is there a more direct way?
G4.
G4, yes. Because black's completely tied down, so white can just advance the pawns. So one threat is h5, but another threat is bishop f5, because if he takes, I can take with the g-pawn, and the rook has no good square to defend the knight on f6, so then queen g5 check would win. So here we were both in time trouble and had to make 6 more moves to get to move 40. And he tried some like desperate shot rook e4 to, because, yeah, but it doesn't really work, so to win the d4 pawn. Other options, so he can play h6 to cover the g5 square, prevent bishop f5. But now h6 is a big weakness, and I can just like slowly untangle, and I'm threatening rook c5, rook 1 to c5, and then now both h6 pawn would be hanging, so he can't defend the pawn. Knight e4 is another tactical idea, but also doesn't work. I can just win the piece, and yeah, in the end this should be winning because queen d4, I should be able to trade queens, and then yeah, even though he has 2 pawns, it's not enough for the piece. And then queen b8 to attack the rook allows bishop f5 idea. And white's able to maneuver the bishop to e5, and then that's just game over. So already here, g4 is a very strong move. Now black has no really good defense. He tried rook e4, but I can just take on d4, queen f2, and now I think the simplest way to for white to win is to just trade everything with rook f1, queen back, take on f6, take on d7, and then, yeah, white's just up a piece. So, and after we made the time control, he just resigned. So this is an important win because I was able to lead the tournament after that round, but unfortunately I lost later, so I finished tied for 3rd. But that was still a good result. Thank you.